The unusual way most African countries got their names. Hello Displorers, welcome to another informative video presented to you by Displorer, and thanks for watching. In this video we are going to look back into history to discover the unusual way most African countries got their names. The concept of nations in Africa is only a bit over a century old, arising after the 1884 Berlin Conference and the subsequent scramble for Africa by European superpowers of the time. The boundaries of current African states usually have their origins in the scramble for Africa, when the major European powers divided up the continent among themselves. Pre-colonial Africa was not organized into the nation-states we see today, with fixed boundaries and a nominal national identity, but were kingdoms and empires with rulers and subjects, and numerous smaller political entities. Nearly every country on earth is named after one of four things: a directional description of the country, a feature of the land, a tribe name or an important person, most likely a man. In Africa, just like many other aspects of the African system, the names of many countries came through the legacies of the colonial powers, who cruised through it until their supposed independence, which mirrors most of Africa, with a few exceptions of course. The stories of how African countries got their names range from the more ordinary to the intriguing and outright crazy ones. Hence, we are going to comb through them with our fingers crossed for a laugh. But first, if you're new here, welcome. Be sure to subscribe and turn on post notifications so you don't miss any of our videos. The story of how most countries got their names can be classified into groups of misspellings, shapes, discoveries, water bodies, Portuguese and Arabic traders and explorers, and European mispronunciation of tribal names. We will discover that even countries which were never colonized have a European background to their naming. To start off is the 15th century Portuguese explorer Pedro de Sintra, who found his way into the west, where either the mountains looked like a lion's teeth or the impressive roar of thunderstorms led him to name the place Serra Leoa, or Lion Mountains. Pedro de Sintra came up with the name Sierra Leone, or Lion Mountains, and the British officially named the country Sierra Leone in 1787. Centuries later, another mountain yielded the country's name in East Africa, when the British came upon an imposing snow-capped mountain that the Kikuyu people named Kirinyaga, translated, where God dwells. As they struggled to pronounce Kirinyaga, they called it Mount Kenya, and hence the country was named after this mountain. Another country which got its name as a result of linguistic challenges or clerical error is Madagascar. Marco Polo, a 13th century Italian explorer, never even visited Madagascar, but he is believed to be responsible for mistaking it for Mogadishu and including it in his memoirs. This led to the first written reference to Madagascar, thus the corrupted Italian transliteration of Mogadishu. Madagascar eventually gave Africa's largest island country its name. While other countries got named through misspelling of their names, others got their names from rivers located near or within the countries, such as Niger and Nigeria. These two countries got their names from the Western Africa's principal river, the River Niger. Niger, a former French colony to the north of Nigeria, and Nigeria, a former British colony, were both named from the river which flows through them. It was originally called Niger or River Jir in one of the local languages, though there is also a theory that it was named for the Latin adjective for black, as in Black River. Nigeria was named by Flora Shaw, a Times of London journalist and later the wife of Nigeria's colonial governor-general Lord Frederick Lugard, for the River Niger. Interestingly, Lagos, its largest city and one of the largest cities in the world, means lakes in Portuguese, a reference to the islands in lagoon upon which it is built. Cameroon, a country which had a complicated legacy of being colonized first by the Germans, then later partitioned by the French and British, was actually named by a Portuguese explorer in the 15th century from its main river. Coming across the Wuri River, one of Cameroon's largest rivers, he renamed it Rio dos Cameroons, or Shrimp River, because of the abundance of shrimp in it. The name stuck and evolved through its colonial masters, who translated Rio dos Cameroons into various languages, before remaining at Cameroon or Cameroon for the French. The Arab legacy on the continent was also the source of some of the names of African countries. In Mozambique, it was an Arab sheikh whose name remains with the country. Musa bin Big ruled the area at the time when the Portuguese arrived, and the Portuguese decided to call this country Mozambique. Sudan was also called from Arab influence, as it got its name from the Arabic phrase Bilad as-Sudan, which means land of the blacks in Arab. Comoros derived its name from 10th century Arab traders who called it Kamar or Komor, meaning moon, perhaps because of the half-moon shape that the four original islands of Comoros formed. Speaking of shapes, Gabon was named based on the shape of a place in the country. The country's first European visitors were Portuguese traders who arrived in the 15th century and named it Gaboa, meaning coat. This was based on the shape of the Como River estuary where they first explored, which looked to them like a coat with sleeves and a hood. The British colonialist, whose legacy on the continent and beyond is called to question these days, headed the British South Africa Company that during the colonial times owned present-day Zambia and Zimbabwe. During the time in both countries, the British named it Rhodesia after Cecil Rhodes, but in 1979, just ahead of independence, Zimbabwe reclaimed its 13th to 15th century name from the Kingdom of Zimbabwe. On the other hand, Zambia, which was Northern Rhodesia, was renamed in 1964 after receiving independence. The new name was inspired by the Zambezi River, which is said to mean River of God. Ghana was another nation which reclaimed its name of origin at independence from the ancient West African Kingdom of Ghana after its British colonial legacy when it was known as the Gold Coast. Recently, multicultural and multiracial South Africa has been calling for a name change to shake its colonial name to Azania. Ironically, even this name has no African origin, as it was the name used by the 1st century Greek explorers to refer to Southern Africa. The funny thing is that even a country without colonial heritage, which was never colonized, such as Ethiopia, has its name rooted deep in European language. Ethiopia's name has Greek roots from the words burnt face as a noun or red-brown as an adjective. Prior to the name Ethiopia, the country was named Abyssinia. Liberia, the continent's oldest republic, which was established as an independent country in 1847 by freed former African-American slaves, was named to signify liberty. While in the midst of all this structured, unstructured, and misnaming of countries, there are actually countries which are proud to say that they were intentionally named by the indigents to signify their culture. Mali, for example, derived its name from the original Bambara word for hippopotamus that evolved to mean the place where the king lives. In Malian culture, the hippopotamus signifies strength. There is a particularly fascinating Malian legend about how the founder of the Malian Empire, Sundiata Keita, changed himself into a hippopotamus upon his death and continued dwelling in the Sankarani River, a tributary of the Niger River. With the rising of African identity and African thinkers, the nation-state is not a political entity that fits African realities. Hence, the rushing of some African nations to be identified with their ethnic or religious groups or as Pan-Africans, rather than the nationals of a particular state of European creation. For example, the name Burkina Faso, meaning the land of incorruptible people, was adopted in 1984 by the president at that time, Thomas Sankara, which pushes the Africanization of names further for a continent with stronger roots. With such ideologies, the continent can at least redeem a small portion of its identity, which was and is still being stolen from it till date. There you have it, explorers. That was the unusual way most African countries got their names. Thanks for watching this video, and if you did enjoy this video, do well to give it a thumbs up and do not forget to subscribe and share with your friends.